Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
I know.
And we are
the Humble Hustlers.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
We're excited to be here. Guess what we're talking about? Woohoo! So we got some fun guests.
Yeah, we got some great guests coming in today. I'm super excited. There's a lot of new stuff to learn about, and we got 3 guests. Well, one of them is Taffy. I don't know if she really counts as a guest.
She hasn't been here in like a year.
She hasn't been here in a long time, so we're going to count Taffy as a guest.
I saw this yesterday. Let's see if I can get to it. I thought this was kind of funny. Can't get an agent to return your call? Call from your kids or your significant other's phone and leave a message saying you went to list a property. You'll get a call back within the hour. I don't know if that ever happens to you. You're like, hey, I'm going to get the 411 on this home. And you're like, 3 days later. Nothing. It makes us all look bad. So I was like, that's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
Call from my husband's home. Hey.
Just kidding.
We were thinking about starting out with a market update. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but the last 2 weeks, it's been kind of like imploding.
Mm-hmm.
I know Cindy had a listing in Rockland hit a week ago, and I just had one in Granite Bay hit. So we wanted to kind of tell you what we've seen, and then we wanted to see what you guys have seen.
Yeah. So, Missy and I were talking a lot about staging this weekend. If you guys didn't get a chance, please check out our Humble Hustler video about staging, just because it has great statistics in it you guys could use in your listing presentations. We just posted it on our websites today, so make sure you guys watch that. The market is kind of just turned up. It's on fire right now.
It's an early spring.
It's an early spring, and I do feel every year it seems to move up a month quicker. Now it's starting in February. We put a house on the market. We had multiple offers, 2 days on the market, all of them over asking. The house was in move-in ready condition. We are noticing anything in move-in ready condition is getting multiple offers. Same sense is on the buyer's end. Hi, Heather. Is we went out this weekend to take a look at the house. First day on the market. We were the 6th offer to come over first day on the market. This was a 1-bedroom house, you guys.
Oh my God.
This isn't one. It wasn't a 3-2 for everybody. Like, I am shocked.
Wow.
But a good tip to let you guys know about when there are multiple offers. We always express to you guys, get out there and go to events and know the agents out there, because this agent I know very, very well, and she kept in very good communication with me. Every hour would give me, this is what you need to beat, this is what you need to beat, because the seller was allowing her to share that information. So it's easy for me to beat out 6 offers on that one. I did have to go $12,000 over asking in order to get it, but everybody else was going over asking too. I'm noticing right now people coming in at asking price, you're the lowest right now. That's what I've kind of noticed in the past 2 weeks now. A month ago, you wouldn't even come in at asking price. It is just really turned up. It is kindergarten registration right now, so any families trying to get in a school district, I do have a couple of those I'm working with, they're in straight panic mode right now. They are willing to fight for these houses to get their kids registered in school.
So true.
What are you seeing at yours?
Okay, so we had one in Granite Bay for $950, which is usually like one that will sit a little bit longer. We've been working on it for a year. Kind of wanted to price it $899 because it does have a few little quirks. But I'm like, we're going to just try for $950. 3 offers. Oh my gosh. And it was interesting. The agents did not stalk me. I was like, stalk me. I wanted them to be like, show me their clients wanted it. No one did that. So that kind of disappointed me a little bit, because I think that's really important to be like, hey, what can we do? What do you need me to be? They knew we were getting multiple offers. Like, no one was staying on top of it. I had to stay on top of them, which I thought was interesting. And one came in and asking, contingent, home not on the market. One came under asking, and 25 grand, and it had been only on the market 2 days. And that agent wrote crazy things on there. And then the third one came in at asking too. Contingent, home just hit the market. So I multiple countered them all, everything different, right? So I get one back accepting, never heard from the other one, and then the other one just called me and was like, we're going to counter you, we're going to come in even higher. I didn't tell you this. And our house just went pending all cash offer. So now my first one that was like the major player, I was like, uh-oh, right? And he's a broker, so I called him. And I'm like, hey, I want to give you the heads up. This is happening. And he was kind of a turd to me. He was like, well, I need to know numbers. I need to know figures. I'm like, dude, you need to come in higher. Like, what kind of numbers do you want me to give you? Like, I don't know what it is. I don't have it in writing yet, but you need to come in. Are you ready to do that? He's like, I don't know about that. So now I've lost my confidence in them. So you have to remember, like, I'm going to show my sellers the confidence that was coming from these agents. And if they're like, if they're a pain in the butt, I'm like, red flag, right? So that's kind of cool. I did not expect 3 offers, honestly.
And one thing I want to express, which we always express, I don't know if you've seen it, is write letters. If you are making an offer, the reason my Rockland one took the offer is because of the letter. The people, 2 other offers, no letter. This one, they were in education, so are my sellers. It hit the soft spot. He was a local deputy who's very involved in our community. That was really big to them because they also work in the community. Letters are really important, even on the 6 offers. Hardly any letters. We were the only ones also, having your lender follow up. As soon as that offer is out, your lender should be contacting them within 15 minutes. It's amazing how many lenders don't call.
I never heard of
And one of my offers that I got on my listing, it was, ended in a .com, which right there I'm all, your lender is not credible. So I'm trying to track down this lender. It's an 800 number. I don't know who I'm supposed to ask for. There's no cell phone number. Immediately, that one got crossed right off the list, you guys. So please also make sure you use reputable lenders. Don't go have them click online. And by the way, that offer that was offline, that was only a pre-qual. It wasn't a pre-approved, and I don't know if you guys know the difference. Pre-qual means all they did was run their credit. Their tax returns aren't in, their W-2s, bank statements, none of that's turned in. To me, that means nothing. You could have tons of debt. You could have major issues. So, please be responsible of which lenders that you send your clients to.
So what are you guys seeing? Anybody?
This might be a dumb question. Do you have the client write the letter, or do you write the letter?
This depends.
I generally have the client write the letter. I always have them attach a picture, especially if they have cute kids, because everybody loves cute kids. Or if they just got married, they always put their wedding pictures. They always look so beautiful. If they are really nervous about it, I already have a file of samples about what other people wrote, and so I'm like, hey, you could pretty much copy it. Of course, you got to state it what's really about you and about the home. But then they realize how easy it is. And it could be as small as 1 paragraph. You don't write 2 pages. No one wants to read 2 pages. It just needs to be 1 to 2 paragraphs. Short, sweet, to the point.
I write them for mine all the time, too. Yeah.
We just got 2 offers accepted. There was multiple offers and offers better than ours, including a cab shopper, but both got accepted because of their letter.
Yeah, and I have to tell
They grew up
agents.
in the neighborhood. They just wanted to live by their grandparents.
Yeah.
And they were like,
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
I've been taking my client's picture in front of the home.
Oh my
When
gosh,
they see
that's
it,
so
they love
cute.
it. I've gotten 2
Yeah.
offers with that. They're like, oh my gosh, no one's done that, and it's
Love
I love it every
that.
time.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's
Yes,
good.
that's a really good
You're
one.
affirming it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Very
Absolutely.
cool.
That's
I just claimed my steak, right?
We're already claiming this.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. So
Anyone else, Barry?
You mean as far as activity?
Yeah, how are you feeling?
Yeah, it seems like spring has come early. That would be kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
Is that spring is here. And so the good weather, I think, is what's driving it.
Yeah.
I also think you've got major developments on the on the finance rates. The fact that these rates are here and they're low and they're making people really comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a big difference if you're at 4%. I mean, at 3.5% versus 4.5%. That makes it. And not only does it make a math difference, it also makes a perception difference, and people feel like this is a good time to buy.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So get more buyers, get more buyers, get more buyers.
Yes, and have them be ready to go over asking.
And yeah, if you guys aren't sure what the current rate is, I just asked Alicia's team yesterday. So conventional 3% down is 3.65 right now, with credit scores over 700. So that's amazing. I don't know if you guys remember last December, it was about 5 to 5.5%. I mean, it's almost 2% less.
Well, yeah, there's someone got in a twos last week, one of my clients.
Wow.
Yeah,
And also time to call all your buyers from 17, 18 and get them to do a refi.
Yeah.
So get your lender involved in that, and because
Smart.
everybody in 17, 18 paid more than what they're paying now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you? Awesome. That's cool. Well, that's a good segue. We brought in our favorite solar company for you guys to answer some questions and give you a little education on solar. So this is Eddie, and he's with DC Solar.
Yay.
And you guys don't have an office here anymore, do you?
No, so we used to have an office here for a couple years.
Okay.
When Chasen originally wanted to explore Placer County, he started out here. Due to some reasons, we switched to a Rockland office, and then we actually just leased a huge office space up in Auburn.
That's
so now
so
we
cool.
have
Nice.
the entire company combined into one building, so it's conducive to have sales and operations together, because before, as you know, things get lost in the cracks and problems arise. So now everybody's together, so everything seems to flow a lot better.
Cool.
So
We're going to go check it out in a
as
couple
of
weeks.
December,
We're gonna,
Yes.
That's awesome.
Humble Hustles will have video there soon.
He was telling me about that. I was like, okay. So a couple of things, high level, real quick. We actually are one of the only companies that does solar inspections. So if you have a home, somebody's looking at that as an existing system, whether it's a lease or a PPA or a purchase, we will come out and inspect the system, check it for just how it's fastened to the roof. Is there potential for leaks? Is it wired correctly? Believe it or not, a lot of the companies, solar companies that have popped up have come and gone in the last 10 years in the solar boom, and some of them were blow and go installs that we've gone behind them and seen all kinds of problems. So we're doing that. We also are going to have a workshop for agents strictly dedicated to everything surrounding home backup, because there's a lot of myths and bad information floating around. I don't have a date yet, but so everybody's obviously aware of the PG&E mandatory power outages that are going to happen last year and that are going to continue to happen. So does anybody know, if you have rooftop solar electric, will you still have power if the grid's down?
No, you will not have power.
Does anybody know why?
You don't have a battery.
No, because so you have your solar panel on your roof, it absorbs sunlight, creates DC power. The largest, most important part of any rooftop solar electric system is the inverter. The inverter converts the DC power into AC power, and then it's fed right into your home's main electrical panel. The home draws all the electricity it needs in real time. Anything that's being produced in excess gets immediately sent back to the grid, recorded through your smart meter, and you get credit for it. The problem is the inverter needs grid power to convert the DC power into AC. There's no generator or battery on Earth that has the power to make the inverters work when the grid's down. So grid's down, you're done. The good news is, and I'll go more into detail at this workshop, there's an inverter company that's been working on it for 7 years that's just come out with an inverter that's going to be out in Q4 of this year. It's set up to where when the grid goes down, it bypasses it, creates its own mini grid, and as long as there's sunlight, the sun will power the inverters, and you'll be the only home on the block when the grid's down that still has power.
Wow.
In conjunction, they also have released a battery that's going to store that power. The home can run at night on it, and then as soon as the sun's up the next day, even with the grid down, it still can generate its own power.
Wow.
So also a lot of the stuff, like people hear about Tesla Powerwall, the LG Chem 2 battery, they're, depending on the company you call, they're like $9,000 to $12,000 installed. You could have a Powerwall or your house or the LG battery. You don't even need solar. All it's going to do is draw power from the grid and to be stored to use if the power goes out or in higher peak times at night. The problem with those is they're roughly about 30 amps of power for about 5 hours, and then they're drained. So you can imagine you're pretty limited on what you can run, like a refrigerator for 6 hours, some lights, and a TV. We're really heavily into the Generac whole home generators. Like if you walk into Home Depot, they have a big one set up in the front. It's like the size of one of those huge igloo ice chests. The benefit of those is they're about 90 amps of power, continuous flow, as long as they're connected to obviously a gas line or a liquid propane tank on rural property. But anyway, this is all stuff we're going to go into more into detail at this workshop. It's for agents only. I can present you with the information the more we know about it.
Cool.
Also, as a courtesy to all EXP agents, we will review any contracts, or if you have somebody looking at something that there's like a lease or a PPA, sometimes they're hard to make sense of.
Yeah.
We'll be more than happy to review it for you. So.
You guys have been amazing about that. You've helped me and Cindy.
Yeah, they're really great, you guys, because sometimes you get these solar contracts and it's like reading Chinese. The words that they use you've never heard before. And so I give it to them and they're like, yeah, they're pretty much, this is going to raise every single month. It's a scam, So knowing what it is, what they're actually reading, because I feel, especially a few years ago, a lot of people were getting scammed. Old people, young people. It was really, really a sad situation, and they weren't understanding what they were reading and signing their life away.
Does everybody know what a power purchase agreement is? Okay. So yeah, so we as a company, we don't participate in.
Hold on a second. You're telling me everybody in this room knows what that is?
I don't.
Okay.
Not everybody knows. But guys, this is the one place you've got to feel comfortable raising your hand when somebody says, "Do you know?"
So
this is where we get our training out.
Yeah. So leases you don't really see anymore. Leases is just like a car lease. You scribble your name, you lease the equipment. It's a 25-year commitment instead of leasing a car for 3 years. Power purchase agreements have now taken the place of leases for these solar companies because, for all intents and purposes, they're a cash register for the solar company. Because not only does the solar company keep the tax credits, there's additional credits that they get. So basically, your power purchase agreement, somebody signs a contract with the solar company comes out, puts their equipment on your roof, and sells you the power that the system generates with a rate escalator built in every year.
Okay, but you don't own the system.
You never own it, and you don't get any of the tax credits, and it's a 20-year commitment. Yeah.
Wow.
And the escalator is the big
It's
thing that
usually
you mentioned,
about-
which means it could go up every single year. So the price they tell you right at the beginning is not the price it's going to be next
Exactly.
year.
So I extrapolated out on a spreadsheet for a lady that was looking at one down in Richmond. It was a smaller system with a 2.9% rate escalator built in every month, which is very common. Her bill was slightly going to be still a tick under what PG&E would have been, but the problem is, over the course of 20 years, she was going to spend roughly $46,000 for a system that I could have sold her for like $23,000.
And it doesn't really add value to the home. I mean, it might add a little bit to like the likability, but maybe not. It could hindrance it a little bit. It depends if somebody wants to purchase solar.
Yeah.
But it doesn't add value. Like if you own solar, that actually gives value.
So yeah, so owning the system outright is obviously the best because let's say your average 3,300 square foot home in Rockland, annual bill $3,600 a month. If you have a system that was designed to knock out 99% or so of that, and their end of the year bill is only about $100, I mean that's a great selling point. You can say, hey, look, just buying this house with its own system, you're going to be money ahead $3,500 a month because everybody knows it's an electric bill or a utility bill is a fixed overhead expense, whether you rent an apartment, own a home, whatever. It's something you're always going to have to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always see properties when it says it's leased solar. That's a big negative in my eyes. Number one, what the current seller is paying is not what your buyer is going to pay. They reevaluate how much do they make. They run their credit, which is also a ding on their credit while you're in escrow. So they could be saving this amount, but your buyer might come in and not save that amount. They reevaluate the whole thing when it's leased. It's way better to own it.
Yeah, way better.
Are they even doing the Empower loans anymore through Placer County?
Yeah, so they were going to call them off, and then as far as we know, they're continuing the program.
Okay. And that's like a financing through Placer County, the Empower program. So if you
So
see that on
all
there?
the PACE loans,
I was just gonna ask Cindy, do you have are you finding success when you're putting in offers, getting them to pay off the solar ahead of time?
Every single time I write an offer and it's leased, I make them pay it
And
off.
you can just make the offer a little bit
Or
better,
I've had, they have the option to remove it because a lot of them that are leased, they could move, it's like a couple grand and they can move it to their other house. So I've also had them remove it from the house. But then once again, now you have a roof, do you count on the solar leasing companies to repair your roof in the way it needs to be?
I guess you
the
can
risk.
purchase the power purchase agreement. It's just not.
you can buy it
lucrative.
outright,
Yeah.
but it's literally like paying twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna
It's
say,
like
I've
buying
never-
a car. It's like leasing a car and then
Yeah.
buying it at the end. You pay tax twice on it.
Yeah.
I've sold a lot with power purchase agreements. I mean, I just disclose it. I mean, it happens. Yeah.
What are your-
It's getting better nowadays, okay, but the reason it's so hard with the lease agreements is because that company takes first position on the mortgage.
Yeah.
And it's on the lien on it. So meaning that most mortgage companies won't touch it because
Is that what happens?
when they put the lien,
No.
they put the money on the house, right? They have to take second position in their mortgage.
I think that's only on the Empower program, right? Not on the lease and the power
So
purchase
in the
agreement.
past, I know they got better in the last couple of years, but the last 2 years ago, and I know that the Empower one is still like that.
Yeah.
But it's harder for mortgage companies to go, put a loan on that one. There's certain companies that won't touch it.
Yeah, I think that's on the Empower program.
I think you do have to remember though that this is a degree of good, better, best.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
agree.
a PPA can still be better than not having any solar.
Oh no, it is.
Right.
I
So
agree.
you got to understand that even though we're saying that owning your own system is the best way to go, yeah, that's the best. But still having PPA can still save you quite a bit of money.
It can.
So
And that's
don't
kinda how
run
it is.
away from it, especially at the lower price ranges. You're probably going to see more PPAs
Yes.
than you do
Yeah.
the ownership.
Yeah.
So here's the big
It's not
thing.
gonna be a pain in the ass.
places where you have somebody with very little, like I'll just say it, you know, older folks, retired, no tax liability or very little.
Yeah.
They can benefit from that.
Yeah, because they're not going to live as.
Well, the thing is
How do you say that?
It's a sell the home. And the problem arises when you go to sell the home.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody my age, I would never. It's not conducive for me to do a PPA.
No.
Number one, because I wouldn't get any tax credits. Number two, I want to own it. I don't want to be in a 20-year commitment that's a pain to get out of.
And you guys are really good about that. You're so honest. That's what I love about it. Like I know I can just bring you guys in. You're gonna be like, this is fine. Let's just you know, or no, this is what they need.
Is there still a tax rebate this year?
So they're tax credits. It's not a rebate. It's a dollar for dollar match against your tax liability. So this year it's 26%. Next year it's 24%. 2022 it's 22%. And then as of now, it's going to be gone with a flat 10% on commercial.
Okay.
I'm sure they're going to do something, who's getting who, but they just haven't messed with it yet. Did you have a question?
Yeah. Have you heard about that new SMUD program that they want to kick in for homes?
I literally saw the ad this morning, but didn't have time to look at it.
Yeah. They were saying they were going to lock them in for like 20 years, and they give them like $40 something.
So SMUD's... SMUD was going to change their program the end of last year, and they didn't. So what they're doing is they're just continually throwing out ideas.
Okay.
So that it's not. I don't know if it's set in stone yet, but I saw that article this morning. I didn't get a chance to read it.
So I have some clients that are in contract right now. The sellers paid off the solar lease, and they are, the buyers are going to get the benefit of owning the solar. Now, is this the case with every solar lease, solar system? Like the value of them getting the benefit off of the utilities, is that the same across the board? Not necessarily the same amount, but what am I trying to ask?
No, so I think I understand. So it just depends. I mean, ask the previous owners. I mean, what was their true up? Did they have a bill at the end of the year? What was it? How many people? If it was a family of 4, and
it's a pretty big house, but they said that if they paid it off before escrow closes, they would get a benefit, they pay less than if, say, my clients were to pay it off after the close. So, there's some sort of credit in, paying it off before. So they're going to, my client, he doesn't understand, how, what it means to own the solar and what's his responsibility and, what it entails. So,
I mean, as far as what his responsibility was, it all goes back to whoever the company was.
Tesla.
Okay, so you can forget about it.
Yeah. Okay, tell me what that means.
Well, I mean, Tesla. So Solar City became dissolved into Tesla. They're not even actively really even doing solar anymore. He's completely migrated into batteries. There's a lot of gray area there as far as warranties go. Some of the companies, as far as workmanship and the penetrations on the roof, if they're 5 or 10 years. So it's kind of, that's a system you'd probably want to have looked at.
For sure. I mean, he's going to be owning it outright. So he's not going to pay the lease.
So he got in a good spot because
there's no downside, I think, right?
No.
Okay.
So he would just have to maintain it himself, and it adds value now when he goes to resell. And if things don't work, he'll have to get them out, because you guys do repairs, right?
We do inspections and repairs, yes.
Then they can even have them out and inspect it and say, hey, it's a good system, or you're probably going to need 10 more panels. I mean, might be worth it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So could you put a new inverter system on the existing solar system?
Yes.
That sounded very smart.
What are the inspections?
So the inspections are $295. We'll come up with obviously a comprehensive report of the status of the system, the size, the equipment. Does it look like it's leaking, or the roof penetration's flash? So real quick before I go, 80% of the solar companies will just drive the lag bolt right down into the rafter and put silicone goop around it, and then put the L-foot bracket on top of that. We do obviously the same thing, but on top of that, on top of the lag bolt and the silicone hoop, we use aluminum flashings, kind of like all the other vents you see on a roof, and then we goop around that too, ensuring that it'll never leak.
Awesome.
Which is why we're actually the only company that has a real lifetime warranty, and we take that extra step to ensure that, because without doing that, you can't ensure that that it'll never leak. Will it maybe one day, 50 years from now, but not in the foreseeable future.
And
That's
the
awesome.
review fee is
$295 for the
both
inspection.
fees are $295?
For the inspection, it's $295.
And then you said review a contract.
No, it's free. If you have a contract, just reach out to me and I'll check it out for you.
We'll check it out. They're really good about it. Yeah. And then he's gonna pass you guys on his card.
I got
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. And just one quick thing on solar about new builds, if you guys are doing a bunch of new builds like I am, it is when the permits were pulled. So if it is a house that's currently being built and you're like, why does this house have to have solar and this house doesn't? It was when the builder actually pulled that permit. If the permits were pulled in 2019 but building in 2020, they don't have to do it. The permits were pulled in 2020, they have to have solar now.
Cool.
So that's just
Good to know. Okay, our next guest is my very special partner, my mom. Right here, Taffy. She took a really cool class on second unit dwelling.
Yeah, you guys, this is some important stuff right here.
Yeah,
I'm bummed I missed this.
You took a lot of good info. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't normally be here because I'm chairperson of the Auburn marketing meeting and I'm normally on tour. I go to a marketing meeting, then I'm on tour. So it's always on a Thursday. It's like, wow. But anyway, love the meetings and miss you guys very much because you're all just wonderful people and very supportive of each other. So the accessory dwelling units are ADUs. And I went to a class at PCAR thinking it was tiny homes. Tiny homes. It's not. So if you're thinking tiny homes are accessory dwelling units, they are not. They were not passed into law as accessory dwelling units starting with January 1st, 2020. But some other very important laws were passed on accessory dwelling units. And you're going to see some things happen. You're going to see some possibilities in homes that you're going to be showing or homes that you're going to be selling. So there's two kinds of accessory dwelling units. There's what's called a JADU. That's a junior accessory dwelling unit. And a junior is within 500 feet or less. And you're going to have to be thinking about this. It's not a garage conversion. It's already a room in the house. Oh, really? It's a room in the house. Now, I had to go through my mind and think of houses I've been in or houses I sold. Like a master. It can be closed off and be made into like a mini duplex. So a house can become a duplex. But the owner must stay in it. So he can have it for his mom, his sister, whoever can live in that house. He or she can charge her rent. But now it's a duplex house, but not the same size. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's 500 feet. Yes, ma'am.
So just to make sure I'm understanding, the accessory dwelling unit means there's like a kitchen in there, and it's a full-on.
You're going to put a little kitchen in it, or a little whatever, and they have some very minimum requirements, especially on these junior ADUs, because people need a place to live. So they're doing a very minimal, almost ministerial building code review, okay? And they're not making people jump through all the hoops that we normally get. They're doing, this is Placer County I'm talking about. They're doing a very streamlined process, and if you've met all the requirements and they still haven't approved you in 60 days, you're considered approved.
Oh.
That's because they will not, the law says they cannot hold you up on these junior ADUs. So you're going to be walking into houses, and now you're going to start seeing possibilities that somebody can do a junior ADU. It can be in a basement. We've sold a couple houses with and we got one right now. That could be a junior ADU. It can add to the value. Yes.
It's only if it's attached in part of the house.
And now it's part of the footprint. Now we'll go to the next one. So the junior ADU is part of the actual footprint of the house. So you can go down below. You can take a big bonus room, whatever. It might have a bathroom. And there's not going to be all of the pushback that you normally get to anything else. And your CC&Rs can no longer prohibit that. And you don't have to provide extra parking. And that's a big deal because many times if you want to do something, you now have to provide off-street parking. So this is, this can create, more traffic on the street, more cars parked, but it's the way it is. Think of down in Sacramento too, because this affects Sacramento as well. They're just not quite as fast on getting this out, but they are having to comply. Yes, ma'am.
So is it 500 square feet or less?
Less for entirely within a single family residence.
Well, I know in Elk Grove they're building new homes with these little in-law units attached or ready to go.
Those are multi-generational, yet they're fabulous. But this is too, and gosh, Lennar's, they've been doing those because there's a need. But now you can take a regular home and do it to meet the need that somebody needs a place to live. That's what that's about, and not have to do it illegally. Because I've shown homes before that had somebody living in every bedroom with a padlock. Have you guys seen that? It's kind of disturbing, actually, But this way, somebody can legally rent it out. The owner must stay in. So you can't do it and then move out, and you can't do it as an Airbnb. We'll make that perfectly clear because people are already thinking. I'm going to give you a way you can do some of this as an Airbnb, though. But I'll give you a little sideways. So that, yes, Barry?
Quick question. You said in the very beginning that this was not counting the garage?
It is. This is not considered a garage because think about a garage right now. A garage usually doesn't have the heat blown in. It doesn't have everything in it that a regular house would have. Because I know I was the same way. These right now are not garage conversions.
Sacramento, they're saying that the garage space does count as an ADU.
But hold on, I'm going into that's a JADU, which is
what I'm talking about.
Quick blow. No garage conversion, she said. Okay, that's what she told us. Not a garage conversion is actually what my. But you get into a regular ADU, yes, you can, detached and within, you can. But once again, that's going to be a little step up in the approval part. Because now you have to have heat there, right? You have to have a heat source. You have to have insulation, in the walls. There's more requirements. But the junior ADU is a quick and easy, just get it done, and they're going to try to support you as best they can. And once again, the building permit must be processed within 60 days of completion too as well. And they will do it. And they will do it. And if they don't, it's considered complete. No Airbnb on those. Okay. So now let's go into regular ADUs. Okay. Now regular ADUs are over 500 square feet. They are, so you could have, and it has to be a certain percentage of the house. It can't be over 50% of what the house is too as well. So you can't do something that's bigger than your house. It can be a detached garage. It can be a garage. It can be a unit you build. A unit you build. And you're not going to have, and the setbacks only have to be 4 feet.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Natalie Whistler told me they could be a max of 1,200 square feet now.
1,200 square feet on certain size lots. So it's going to look different, especially because we're just not used to that. It's going to be the density. It's going to look different for us.
Do they have to have their own meter or not?
There's going to be little, codes that you're going to have to.
I'm in contact with another one where it's like a separate ADU and it has its own meter and.
If it's considered a second dwelling, it has to have its own meter, it has to have its own heat, and it has to have a stove.
It has to have solar too, by the way. They have to have solar. I didn't know if you were part of that.
You introduced another word into it. First you were talking about junior ADUs, then you were talking about ADUs, now you just talked about second dwelling.
Yeah.
So
that can be a different thing. We're talking about ADUs
so
now.
ADU limitation on size, are you saying the ADU cannot go up over 1,200 square feet?
Yeah, maximum size limit is 1,200 square feet for a detached unit. If you're doing something for attached, maximum size is 50% of the existing home.
So is the ADU detached ADU? Is there now another item called a second dwelling other than the detached ADU?
This is only the ADU that were passed by the new law on January 1st to create additional affordable housing. Okay. So when you kind of get into a little bit specifics, that's when you call the county, because I'm going to tell you, in the room I was in with about 95 people, I thought people were going to get in a fight right there. You know, and the poor woman's just like, yeah, we had to take the mic from a couple of people.
Right.
So, yeah, because the people are asking questions. Yes.
So now, please correct me if I'm wrong with this.
And I'm not.
What I understood with the ADU is when it comes to that 50% or 1,200 square feet, it's whichever is less.
It's not what it says here. Maximum size.
So if you have a 1,300 square foot house, you can go and put an ADU up to 1,200.
Maximum size limit is 50% of existing home for attached unit. Maximum size limit is 1,200 square feet for a detached unit. Yeah. And what's amazing to me is the minimum side and rear setbacks of only 4 feet.
That's the big difference.
That is a huge.
What this basically means is there's no longer single family zoning in the state of California.
That's right. Yeah, right. That's right. Because now you can stick something and you only have 4 feet between you and the fence. Now you have to make sure you're meeting, fire and safety setbacks and things like that. But
does everyone understand what she's saying with 4 foot? Right, meaning so from any fence or the other house, there only has to be 4 feet of distance between them, which makes it really easy to fit something onto an existing.
Yeah.
And it means you should like your neighbor.
Yeah.
You're gonna get real.
Yeah. This one they don't have to live in that unit, obviously.
No,
Right?
but they must live in the main house. But wait. Oh no, I did get a little thing there. So you are allowed 1 detached ADU, plus you can do a junior ADU in your house too as well. And you can move into your ADU and do an Airbnb out of your own house.
Oh my God! Yes.
I know. That's where my little.
So essentially, you can have a duplex and then live in the ADU.
Now, if you're in a duplex, you can't, because that becomes part of, that's a JADU. Do you see? I was listening and taking notes. I was like, oh.
She's technical.
Yeah.
So, what's the maximum amount that you're allowed to put on a property?
So there's a certain amount they'll tell you when you go down to the county how much you can cover your property. Because I'm envisioning properties covered everywhere. And you look down and trees are gone. There's no green grass.
And the kind of crazy part, too, I heard from Natalie Whistler was they're allowing this in HOAs, too.
Yes. And there's already lawsuits.
She's in one and she's going to build one in her backyard. And you only need a 1/4 acre, I believe she said, to build one in your backyard in an HOA.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
And the lawsuits are beginning because HOAs are pushing back. But they really can't stop you much on an actual garage conversion. They can't.
Are
Yes.
there any criteria on who can rent those spaces?
No, as long as the homeowner lives in it, they figure you're going to find somebody you like.
Right.
And they don't even have to have a door, because before they had to have a door that came into your house. Yeah. Oh no, you can block it off. They have their own exit door. So you don't even have to see them. Like if it was somebody's mother-in-law or something. You have to see them. I love
tenant is what I'm also asking. Yeah. Like an absolute landlord tenant.
Yes, but yes, and you don't have to. They just are trying to increase what people can do. It doesn't have to be. We were told it doesn't have to be a family member. They just assumed it would probably be somebody you liked a lot.
But it's still the same address, right?
Now they do get into separate addresses. Oh yeah. So there's things to know, but if you keep it under 750, your separate detached ADU under 750 square feet, so they're looking for smaller, then you do not have to pay the impact fees. And if it's over 750 square feet, then there are impact fees which are proportionally assigned. Yes.
So the senior communities. Okay.
I know.
So.
I know.
So you can't, if the lot's big enough and they can build one, they can't have younger families.
No.
They would have to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
if you buy one that's been done like this already, so I now have 3 individual living units on this property, 2 of which that are inside each other. So I've got the junior ADU, I've got the main house, and then I've got a detached. I buy that as an investor. And I rent all 3 out.
You have to. Now we don't know about when you buy it because we're always told that if you do it, you've got to be the homeowner living in it. So we don't know yet on that. There's still a lot of not knows. But there's something I wanted to bring up on that too, because
You do it, I'll buy it.
yeah. So you can have these are the different kinds of ADUs you can have. You can have the junior ADU within the existing footprint. You can add an ADU onto your house, no more than 50% of your house size. You can add another building, which we just talked about. You can take a detached garage. Don't worry about replacing the parking and turn that into one. Or you can take part of your house, basement, or do you see the different kinds that are there? So that and if you go to the Placer County website, they have pictures of the different kinds and how you can do it. But I just wanted to, as you're going through houses now, especially if they got a little larger lot, and gosh, we see a lot of those in Carmichael and Citrus Heights even, and things where you're going, whoa.
Now, Sac County's a little stricter, you guys. I don't know if you've built them. I have with my investors. It's a nightmare.
And they're not as nice, but and they're not as much on it, but they will be. They just are learning, and they're just a little slow on the get-go on it. Placer County's, of course, we're fast. Boom, they're on it. Yes. They're ready. They're ready to help you and your buyers and or sellers or whatever. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
If you guys didn't know, Taffy just became governor of the Women's Council of Realtors. Super proud of you.
So I went to a class similar to that in Sacramento, and the guy from the state was there. And the state guy basically said that the counties don't adopt new rules, then they automatically fall under the state's rules. That's how aggressive the state is being. And he also said that in some areas people are taking, because of that 50% rule, he said in some areas, the way the law is written, it says existing structure, right? It doesn't say house, it says existing structure. And so what people are doing is making the barn the existing structure and building themselves an additional 2,500 square foot house because the barn is 5,000 square feet. And that's kind of interesting. So we're going to see a lot of changes in the next year or so.
Yeah, so Loomis cannot, say, no, we can't have this. Like a place like Loomis, which is spot density, they now have to comply with the state. That was the new law.
Absolutely.
It overrides every municipality. Wow.
Yeah, there's not. Absolutely. So we got another guest here. We talked about it a couple weeks ago about getting CCW permits. Something just even came up this week with another EXP agent. I'm not sure if you guys read what happened to Mitzi De La Cruz a couple days ago. She was doing her home inspection of Forest Hill. They all finished up. She was just walking around the property, and a strange man came on the property and insisted that she let him in the house. She's like, no, it's already in escrow. He wouldn't stop. He then came up with his story that his dad built this house and he wants to see in it because he has the like-kind house in the neighborhood and wants to see what was going on. Mitzi eventually told him, no, go away, contact the listing agent. She drove away. He still stood there in the driveway. She went back, went to her title company, did a title search of anybody around a couple mile radius with the same square footage of that house. Not true. And the name, no name. This guy was totally lied. So, that's why, once again, they're getting crazier and they're coming out to the rural areas out there. Darcy and I both just recently had to make file police reports about people who are just calling us, stalking us. They're just getting crazier out there. So, if you guys can all put your hands together, I've got Mike here to help us.
No need for applause.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. So, Cindy, thank you for putting this together.
Yeah.
So, really not sure where everyone is on this yet, but there is some sense of, overall personal protection that you guys should be at least looking into because of your job, right? Because you guys are out there and you're somewhat on your own, and you have no idea who's meeting you at a home or who's not meeting you at this home, right? So I don't really usually get in front of groups like this prior to a class, so I don't really know what levels of people are in here and where we are with thinking about the idea of CCW. So does everybody in here own already a firearm?
That's a question. Does anyone own one that's registered right now?
I do.
Okay.
I'm not good with it.
That's okay. So I guess,
I handle it. I just don't
She's scared of it.
That's the scary part, right?
Yeah.
Go to front side.
So yeah, so the first part is obviously we have to obtain a firearm, right? If we don't already have one, and then also we need to know how to use that thing so that we can go through the qualifier. Because in a class, you're going to go through obviously the basics, and then we are going to do a qualifier as well. So not only some of the laws that are required for us to actually carry, where we can carry, where we can't carry, what laws we have to abide by while we're carrying. Things like, you can't drink while you have your firearm with you, for instance, right, is one of them. So there's a slew of them as well that we could go over. But you first have to obtain the firearm. You have to be good and equipped with it. You have to be able to fundamentally go through the class, and then you have to do the qualifier. So each county has its own qualifier. Everybody in here, Placer County?
Yeah, I think
Sac County. So Sac County, for instance, would be a different type of qualifier. Their class is a little longer, so they're required a 16-hour class in front of, where Placer County is still an 8-hour. But their qualifiers are slightly different as well. She would have to shoot 100 rounds for her qualifier. Her qualifier would be split into two things. It's a 50 round, which is called a practice. Then she would do that same 50 rounds again as her real qualifier. Hers would be timed. So all of her shoots would be timed. They're in a certain amount of seconds, each different progression in depth, how far out we're going. Where Placer County, it's not timed. You can pretty much take your own time. You can shoot at your own leisure, those types of things. So a little bit different there. But we definitely need to own a firearm, and we need to be proficient with it. So otherwise, we're going to get through the class, go to the qualifying section of it, and we're not going to be able to qualify with it.
If someone doesn't own a gun and they're not sure what kind they want to own, where would they go to test one, to touch one?
Yeah, so there's several places, several ranges around here have guns that you can rent, and you can go to the range, shoot while you're there. The range that I use is in Yuba City because that's just where I live, but they also have one. So pretty much any good qualifying range around here in Sacramento or Placer County, they'll have guns that you can use.
Do you recommend one for Placer County?
I don't, because I don't know the area as much as some of the other areas, but there's
Watt Avenue has a nice one.
Watt Avenue is one.
That's probably as far as being really simple to use for your first time. They've got plenty of guns. They've got inside range.
The gun range, that's what it's called.
Yeah, the gun range right there in front of Walmart. And if anybody wants to go down there sometime, I'll be glad to go with you. And I need to get an excuse to go shoot some. So I'll take anybody from the group down that wants to go. And
you want to organize a field trip?
Yeah.
So I'm in the process of doing that, getting my CCW for Sac County, and I'm at the stage now where I have to do the 16-hour course. But I have no personal experience with guns at all, so I'm paying extra to do just the basic handgun training class.
Okay.
And it's happening on next Wednesday from 6 to 9. And you can rent the guns there. It's at the gun range. And I looked at it a couple days ago, and there's still openings if anyone wanted to do it. I don't remember how much it was. It wasn't that much, though.
That's good to
If
know.
you're in
Thank
Placer
you.
County, you can take the class in either county, or does that matter?
Yeah, so it just depends on the instructor. So the instructor that you use, right, to get you qualified for a CCW has to be an instructor on their list. So Placer County, for instance, I am, but there's several other instructors. Same goes for Sacramento, same goes for Colusa or any other county. So as long as the instructor is certified with that sheriff in that county, then you can use them. Yeah.
I'm a little confused. So I'm in Sacramento.
Yep.
So I go through the program.
Yep.
Now I move to El Dorado County.
As soon as you
Do I
move,
have to redo everything?
yeah. So unfortunately, as soon as you move, just like with a license at the DMV, right? You got 10 days to change your license,
So you
your
have to
address.
requalify and everything?
And depending on county that you move into, you'll have to follow the instructions from that sheriff. So yes. So for instance, I had a person that just moved out of Sutter County. So he pretty much did it, I don't know, about a year ago. He's still under his current license in Sutter County, but he's moved to Nevada County. Nevada County, he waited past his 10 days to go talk to the sheriff, and now he has to start all the way over.
So it's based on your primary residence?
It's based on your residence, just like your DMV license, yeah. You have 10 days to change it anytime you ever move. Yeah. So, okay. Just know that I am willing to work with anybody in here. I told Jared that the other day. So, I mean, if you guys want to reach out to me, I'm at the range myself. And again, you have to come up to my range, but if you're interested, you know, in that, you just call me. We can work out a time. When I'm shooting, I would be glad to help you guys work up, you know, to a level where you feel more comfortable with it for sure, especially if you're just beginning. And if you're not and you're ready to do that, again, I'll give you business cards before I leave. You guys can reach out. We can get you set up in a class too. But it's important that you guys all definitely look into it. Again, like Cindy talked about earlier, is we've got some people out there that are pretty crazy, willing to do anything. And you know, you're at a house by yourself with just a random person. It could get kind of scary, I would imagine. So.
Absolutely.
Real quick, just I see he's got his website pulled up
there.
Yeah,
you did. Thank you.
You can
I didn't
just
see
scroll
that.
through it real quick and kind of show them
So,
where
I don't know how to work this.
Let's do it over here.
Let's see how to work this. If you go down to where it says About, this will be a good starting point for you if you just
I'm
want to
on a
scroll
PC,
down.
so give me
That's
a
okay.
second.
Just scroll down. So here in this section on About, you'll see these little things over here where you've got all the counties. So if, for instance, if you click on Placer, click on the word Placer, it basically takes you right to the county, the sheriff website that talks about concealed weapons permits. And you can see here that any information that you wanted on, for instance, a weapon, so if you click on weapon, we could just talk about that for a second. It kind of gives you a layout here of exactly what they're looking for as far as what type of weapons will apply and won't. So a .25 caliber all the way up to a .45 caliber is what they recommend and only is going to allow. Anything outside of those perimeters, they're not going to. So those are some of the guidelines that's Placer County. You can notice there only 3 guns, 3 firearms are going to be allowed on your license at one time. So these are kind of some of the things that they're going to talk about. And if you go back one now, and if you click right here, yep, on new. So this page will tell you some brief information about things as well. It talks about the fees that are associated with. So the administrative costs of $100. There's a $20 non-refundable just for the application itself, and that's whether the sheriff denies you or not. That $20 is lost, right? If he accepts everything and you move forward, then you finish that $100 by giving them the $80. So you can kind of see how those things kind of play out.
How often do you have to renew a license? How long does it go for?
So every 2 years we have to renew, and every 2 years you sit in another semi-similar class. You do a qualifier, and it's watered down a little bit, so you only do a 4-hour. So if you're an 8-hour to begin, you're a 4-hour every 2 years to just recertify.
What would not qualify you?
What would not qualify you is that the shooting. So the qualifier itself is what's the big thing, right? So sitting through a class is really just feeding you information that you need to know, just like here. But when we go out to the range, you actually have to be proficient with your firearm. So when I put it out at 15 yards, you still have to hit the target. So if we don't hit our target, that's when we fail, right? So out of Placer County is 30 rounds have to be fired downrange. 25 of those rounds have to be within the tolerance of what the guidelines. So everybody know what a silhouette looks like?
Yeah.
I didn't bring one. So usually a silhouette is just a black body type picture, right? And then it has rings within the body. Well, the outer ring is the 7 ring. Everything has to be within that 7 ring. So a shoulder hit wouldn't count, any headshots wouldn't count, any mid-range, down below mid-range is not going to count. It's got to be within that 7 ring. So 25 out of your 30 rounds have to be on paper.
Wow.
Okay? So.
And guys, it's not really that hard.
It isn't very hard. That's what I'm saying. So
what's more hard is if you've never fired a firearm and you freeze up,
yes,
and your emotions take over. That's the hard part. The actual shooting and seeing the target and hitting it, that's not hard. Once you get used to shooting a gun, you'll be able to do it. You don't have to be a marksman. You don't have to. So don't think you have to be that good.
No, I would agree with that statement. You definitely need to be comfortable, though, and proficient with the firearm. Know how to use it, load it, unload it.
Instructor.
Please don't shoot the instructor. But those typical things are things that are fundamentals that once you have a firearm and are working with the firearm, you'll be able to get that pretty quickly.
Okay, so 3 firearms per permit.
That's only
No, three firearms on your permit,
on
not
my
per
permit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Yep.
on my permit.
Yep.
But if I have multiple other firearms, rifles, and stuff like that, it's just that's okay because
It's fine.
I have a lot of that. I just
Yep.
don't have handguns. So
Yep.
Okay.
So, like for instance, me, I own several handguns, several rifles. There are 3 on my list. Those are the only 3 that I can carry.
Okay.
So the other guns that are in my house, if I carry those, then I'm breaking the law.
Okay.
So.
Can you like estimate like start to finish, like from the purchasing a weapon and all that, like what would be the cost, like about?
Well, so it depends on what you're talking about or what you're going to purchase, right? So guns can vary from the $300 range up to $1,200–$1,500, depending on what you're going to purchase. So that cost is all about what you're going to do as far as a preference on what you're going to grab. Then the cost up there, what was up there was like I think it's $177 plus a class, which is about $75. So those are your overall costs.
Just what's the general thought on for personal protection having stun guns, tasers instead?
Yeah, those are good options as well. My personal opinion with tasers, if you get a taser that's a handheld taser, that person's got to be up and close and personal, right? So it could still protect you, but you're going to be more hands-on than you might need to be. Right?
I have one that shoots out prong.
So there you go, and you can do that as well. So yeah.
Like I treat it like it's a gun.
Yeah. Some of the things that I'll talk about in the class too, and you guys can look it up if you ever want to, anywhere you are on the internet. If you put Tooler drill into your PC, Tooler drill. Dennis Tooler is a person who has basically broke down the timing it takes for some normal person to draw and get his gun to a shooting position, and how long it takes for a person at a certain footage marker to close that gap at that same time, and it's 20 feet. So at 20 feet. Wow. I can grab that gun in about 1.5 seconds, get it to a shooting position, and in that same 20 feet, you can close that gap in 1.5 seconds, so you're already on top of me. So that's how much time we're talking about, right, in distance. So it gets kind of scary. Not only do you have to understand that at 20 feet that person's a threat, but now how am I going to deal with the threat? Because I don't have very much time to now understand that it's a threat, decide that I'm going to do something about it, and then what am I going to do?
Plus you're feeling your adrenaline and your...
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in the Tooler drill, you'll notice that if you look it up, he'll have situations where somebody's coming at him with a knife or a bat, but the person who gets shot with that knife, he's getting shot with a distance that you're pretty close. I'm still able to stab that person that shot me. So.
Okay, so with that in mind, what type of holster is best? Because
yes.
I think a lot of women are going to put their purse. It's like that's useless.
Yeah.
Where is it? Yeah. So where is it?
Yeah.
You know,
So I always talk about, and these are all good questions. I get these in the classes too, and it's very hard for me to tell you what it is. The holster's got to be comfortable to you, right? What I always like to present to my students is that the holster needs to be something that in my realm needs to fit 3 criteria. Okay, it needs to have a good clip system on it that holds it to your body or to wherever you're going to carry it.